PJ fans, SuperCurve honing fans, type 2 diabetes rescued by keto fans, and carnivore fans. It is Bill here. Today is Saturday, June the 29th. Approaching the end of June already. Oh my gosh. 4th of July, for those of you in the place where we celebrate that. Where the convicted felons started up a country. This is where I talk about stuff that I want to talk about, and I shave, and you watch if you want to watch, and you skip over it if you don't like what I got to say. The soap I'm using today is Fine. This is unobtainium, although Fine is making, this is one of the original Fine type soaps, which is a tallow-based, triple milled hard soap. I say unobtainium. I'm sure you could probably get some of these around. And in my opinion, the softer replacements from Fine are just fine. But those that love these old hard soaps, it'll be missed. The brush today is the Simpsons Emperor number 2. This is a Super Badger. This was my first Badger brush. I'd actually thought, I'm not a real big brush guy, and I'd actually thought, well, I'll get one Badger. Now, I got a couple of them, but I'm not a big brush guy, and this could have sufficed for everything. Do a shave today with razor that I honed up today. I made a honing video for those of you that may be interested in watching me SuperCurve hone. It'll be at the end. I'll do a voiceover on that. That seems to be working well for me, where I do like this voiceover with the description, and I can torque up the speed a little bit, because I just don't think that my honing videos can necessarily get that much action, because I get so long-winded like I do here talking to you shaving. So if you want to stay on and watch the honing of this particular razor, you can do it at the end. I didn't use the poor man or the rich man's pre-shave today. I just got out of the shower and did a pre-shave. I feel like I want to get a little bit more water into this soap. I feel like it'll take a little bit more. It feels, what I look for in a soap, I want to feel the wetness on my skin. And if it's a little too pasty, you can get them painted up pretty good. If it's a little bit too pasty, you won't feel that. It'll almost feel a little dry. And particularly for straight razor shaving, I like it a little over to the wet side. But that's just me. So the razor today is the new to me, although I did shave with it from the factory. Okay, I did strop it after the factory. Is the 6/8 Dovo Masters. This is their number, what is the number on there? 117, I think it is 117. This is still made. I don't know when this was made. I bought this off of eBay. I thought it because there was a picture of the original Masters, which was a blank form like this, with the exception that it was, the metal was stainless steel and the blank form was a shoulderless type. Okay, turned out not to be that way, but the price that it commanded, it was worth a gamble to me, because the price that it came in on this, you know, while disappointed that it was not the other thing, I don't feel like I got ripped off. Anyhow, I did go ahead and SuperCurve this 3 stones. In the end, you'll see that. You'll see what has kind of become my very, very typical fallback position for razor honing. Did catch another. Speaking of Dovo, I did catch something really, really recently. Yeah, I might have seen. And it shaves so much better than it did with the factory edge. Which leads me to what I was going to talk about. That was the factory edge. I don't know when it was the last time I shaved, but I had a good bit of hair there. You can go back and look and see how much hair I had if you're interested. And this is dispensing with that pretty quick. To me, this is quite a good shaver. Typically the Masters was supposed to be, especially taking care of, it is a little bit upscale with double pinning, and it does have a pretty tight pinning setup. I'm pretty happy with it. But as I was thinking about Dovo, okay, I saw I do believe the individual is, I don't know what his name is. There's a master barber, and I believe he's in the United States, who I believe is promoting Dovo. And he has Dovo on him. He may be the authorized shaving professional promoter for Dovo in the United States. I'm not no sure. I have no idea. Okay. But I always have a doubt whenever I see somebody who has a full beard and they're talking about straight razors. I always in my mind say, So even though he has a beard and he's a master barber, I just always wondered, these guys with straight razors and got full beards. Well, you don't use one. So even if you use one professionally on customers, to me, it's a little bit different. And this razor here, as honed by me, I think this is an excellent shaver. Based on what I had seen in honing, my usual test, I really didn't have too much doubt it would shave. Like, pretty much. Oh, by the way, that is carbon steel. That is not stainless steel. The current Masters is carbon steel. You would not, I don't think you'd be disappointed if somebody went out and bought one of these. Okay. I think I could recommend it. I didn't find any problems, out of the box honing it. I don't know when it was made. Okay, Dovo's gotten a bad rap for a lot of reasons, which kind of, when I whine about Dovo on one of their new low-end offerings, although it does shave pretty good because they do grind quite thin, okay? And they are and had been for the longest time the probably the premier razor maker in Solingen. however that's pronunciated, Zolingen. With a relative decline of the revival in straight razors in the early part of this century, which I believe has waned, as well as interest in wet shaving overall. Dovo's had their troubles. And one of the biggest complaints from the Hone Master superiors was that Dovo razors don't come shave ready. And I don't care if they come shave ready or not. Okay, I've really had a couple, something comes out of the box, brand new, I can shave with it. I'm liable to put my own very edge on it. Like most people who enjoy straight razors, you learn to do this. You learn to, I think it's important for you to learn to hone. By whatever method that you choose to use, and develop something that is to your liking. I'm finding, I found a little dryness on that soap underneath it there. So Dovo went through a bankruptcy reorganization, as I understand. I think I understood correctly that there is a new leadership team, if not a new ownership team of the Dovo brand. Certainly out there trying to survive. And an interesting thing I saw, and this kind of ties in with, if you follow me and some of my things, I was a little surprised that when Jared Connery from the Superior Shave, great vendor by the way, please visit his store and buy some stuff from him. He supports this hobby quite well. He is a fair vendor to deal with. So if you follow me, you know that I hone off of a curved surface. I call it, start off as convex honing, and I kind of thought, well, I'm doing a little different and chasing the Ancient Grinder's Handbook that was uncovered and trying to develop my own style after that, pattern after that. But I was kind of surprised that the company that started all here, the Sark, does not even use a shaped hone anymore. They do starting honing and finish. They don't even finish on a stone anymore. Flat stone in the traditional method. in their entire process of putting the edge on it, use a flat rotating, they have a couple stations from the video that I saw where they have counter rotating wheels, and they flip the razor from one side, they set the bevel on one set, and then they have some finer stones in which presumably they are doing their finishing, and then they believe they move to a strop of some sort, probably some sort of a abrasive charge strop. But in relation to, I think it was on the channel from this guy whose channel carries the branding for Dovo, and if I can think of it, I'll link to that video where they show how Dovo razors are made so you can see that, okay? And something really, really surprised me. It does still look like they are using the spinning wheel, which does have a crown on it, and you have to think about how can you concave an edge using something that's a spinning disc. Well, if the disc is crowned, by taking the razor across that crown surface, and so if you're holding the razor like this, you would not get a concaving of the edge, but if you skewed that a little bit, that curvature would cut back away from the edge a little bit. So that's how that works. If you think about it, it's, so I think the spinning wheel that they showed, it appeared that it was a real quick part of the video. And actually, it could be that barber guy, he could be from Europe, could be in UK. I'm not UK, the European Union. I'm not real sure. Like I said, if I can remember, I'll link it in. But an interesting thing is that, and I think in the finishing stone, it still did appear it was really quick. I didn't do a freeze action or anything like that. But it did appear that finishing hone is still shaped in the shape that is like the Jared plate and like the stones that I use. But the interesting thing I saw is that on both steps, the razors had a piece of electrical tape on them, and they showed a bunch of razors, and it appeared as if that is indeed part of their practice. Now, maybe those razors that they were honing up and processing were razors that had decorative gold on them, like the Burger Shirlow. And that could have been their practice for a very long time. I don't know. I mean, if you spent $300 or $400 for a fancy, highly decorated razor that has the gold across the spine and those kind of decorations, naturally, I can understand somebody putting a piece of tape on it, not wanting to degrade that decoration. which is understandable to me, but it's why I don't usually buy razors that are highly decorated. And that's why when I start off, largely what I pursue is modern production razors, because if something happens to this, no harm, no foul. It's a tool. I use it. And if in the process of sharpening this, I get a little bit of marking in here or something like that, or it's otherwise not perfect when you look at it, doesn't matter to me. I'm not interested in having a stable full of showcase queens. I'm interested in having razors that I want to use. I got way too many razors to use. But look at that. And, okay, and on another front, and this is my channel, I talk about what I want to talk about. On the adventures of the B&B, the Bludgeon and Beatdown Forum, as presented and ruled by Joe L. Badger. That would be the guy who is the messiah of shaving, and you need to go over there and you need to make donations to his shave forum to protect yourself from his advertisers. It's a couple times I find interesting on this soap. It does not seem to have the even though it's a tallow soap, it's like not quite as slick. After it's been sitting there for a little while. So, at the Bludgeon and Beatdown. And I do occasionally, even though they gave me the talk, even though the Admiral, who loves his supper, gave me the toss because he did not like how I sharpened my stuff, and he started calling me a rabid minority. And I addressed him as Mr. Moderator, which he really hated. Anyhow, even though they give me the toss, they can't stop me from going over there and seeing what's going on. Okay, and then I saw this guy. Okay, and I'm gonna put up. Okay, this little. Let me see if I don't know if I can get it in on the side or whether it be in the top of. So here was this guy who comes in there, and I hope he doesn't take offense if I happen to point this out. And I am going to hide his identity, but if he tunes in, I think he knows who he is. Okay, there was a thread where they talked about something about the frequency of stropping. Okay, so this irreverent guy comes in there, okay, and he posts this thing. I strop it to the west. I strop it to the east, which is like a parody of the late 60s. Was it late 60s or late 70s or late 80s? I don't know. The Clarence, a tune by Clarence Carter, which was. I think at the time, a lot of the radio stations would not play it, although I have heard it on radio stations, modern day radio stations. for some years. So anyhow, this guy, okay, so you got to question, how often do you strop your razors? Okay, and this is one of these technical questions, okay? And this renegade jumps in there and he posts this really quite funny response. Okay, and this poor bastard, the Admiral who loves his supper, doesn't even get a chance to jump in there and tell this guy how he needs to take care of his stuff. Because the Admiral who loves his supper knows, everybody knows that he knows everything there is to know about shaving and how you need to take care of your stuff and what you need to do and what you'll be allowed to talk about and what you won't be allowed to talk about. And the disrespect, the complete disrespect for the Admiral who loves his supper is unbelievable. So here I am, I'm chasing a baby, and I really shouldn't be doing that. I think there was a little bit left over because while this soap is a good soap, I honestly don't think that this soap performs as well as what I usually use. Most of the time I use Sterling soap. It happens to be my favorite. But that is a good shave. Shaves much better than it did with the factory honing on there. So in the aftermath of this video, I'll have a little video where I tie and show you how I sharpen the belt. I do appreciate like always, everybody tuning in. I think I'm going to finish off with lemon lavender mint. I think this was a limited edition from Sterling, and a lot of times I got so many of those soaps that a lot of times I see these things and I'll buy these limited edition things. And if it seems to be a scent that I like, I think he is running like these special sales twice a year now. I don't know if it's still going on now. I think I got an email that there was a Black Friday for summer where he releases new things, different things, limited run things. And so if you're interested, Rod Lovin's a good guy, a good vendor to this hobby. So that's the shave. For those of you who do celebrate the Independence Day, I hope you all have a safe and a good one. And we'll catch you on the next shave. This is Bill. Until the next time, out. Bye. Hey, it's Bill. Here I am doing the honing. There's the Dovo Masters, the razor itself. That's got the little sculpting in the spine and the jimps. It's a nice 6/8 razor, double pinning. That hone has the original factory edge on it, where it does give to the peanut. Not as much as I like, but I did shave. I wanted to actually hone that, so usually my first step is to make sure that I have an apex that I established, usually right there on that black arc that's been shaped up on the Jared plate. You can kind of see from how the lubricant, which is Ballistol and water, is not really picking up on the heel, that is going to need some work on the heel. And I confirm that with both the visual and the packing peanut. here's how I address that. And it's very typical. If you watch me honing, you would see me do those little circles a little bit, focusing my honing energy on the heel, because I do like to shave with the heel. I do like that to be as sharp as the toe is with my shaving pattern. And any of that kind of combining, or whether I'm focusing specific energy there on the heel. There's a little half moon stroke kind of thing that I use to kind of blend in. You'll see that I do that pretty regularly as I go along in here. I'll do these little dilutions. You get a little more fluid, and for those of you that like to see how the razor is chasing the liquid lube around, you can watch that and kind of see. You can see on one side of the razor I get a little bit more of what is commonly considered an undercut. The other side needs a little bit of work. When you see me angle the razor sideways on that long dimension, that 25-foot long, 6-foot wide dimension, I'm blending the curves, the two curves in, and trying to make sure I hit all the bevel. I looked at the glass. I'm checking the peanut here. I showed you on my little illustration there that I'm pretty much with that stone contacting the entirety of the bevel, but I'm not satisfying the push cut that I like on the heel area, and that's where I'm going to be doing a little bit more work on there, and then blending that back in. There I'm kind of illustrating the area across the razor that I'm actually making contact as I move it, and I'm doing a rocking kind of a motion to move that. This is unlike putting a razor on a stone and just moving it back and forth. You have to focus your energy as you go, isolatedly from the heel to the toe, or to the toe to the heel. Still needs a little bit more on that heel. A little more water. Sometimes doing this, I will use a little bit more pressure, downward pressure, a little more, not so much downward pressure, a little bit more torque than one would normally imagine that you would use in honing. Have found this to be helpful and not harmful, as long as you're on a stone that doesn't have a tendency to have an abrasive break loose and kick up and cause a chip out in the edge. Arkansas usually fit the bill for that. And here's my prize fine. That's curved on the 4-foot wheel. That's the Washita Lily White. I'm going to target on increasing my abrasion into the back part of the bevel, as you saw with my illustration. You'll see that I'm using some of the same focus into that heel area to get back in there. Along in here, there was a feel of something that was in there. There was some resistance in there. I'm not exactly sure it was where it was, but I do know it was there. So on both steps, whether I'm back beveling or doing the honing out towards the edge, you find that. And the same thing, I'll use this type of an X stroke and to blend it in going across. You can see there's a little bit of metal that came off. Looking at the glass, I can kind of see that I've gotten most of the back bevel. So I'm going to hit the middle a little bit. I have an soft arc. I do that with sometimes with a slurry. Lately, I've been using this conical, which is curved up on the short dimension, the Jared plate, about a 6-foot wheel. I'd like to use a slurry from one of those slurry stones. I can slurry that particular stone using one of the counter-shaped or concave stones that I have where I can dig up the slurry of that particular stone, looking at the glass. And you could see from a conical slurry, you could see where you are a little bit better because it leaves a different abrasive scratching than the other stones. I'm about in working about just behind the middle towards the tip, and I think I'm going to take this almost all the way to the apex. I don't really want to get out to the apex because that is a little bit more of an aggressive stone than the Black Arc or the Suhiro 20K. I'm evaluating with the push cut the different ways. If you go in from the side versus going all the way across, you can find that there's a different. Looks like I pretty much got that all the way to the tip, and I'm going to cut a little more back bevel into it. The work that I'm doing further back into the bevel, I'm not going to be getting out to the edge. Cantering the razor moves into the center of the bevel a little bit more. That I think I was going to say that lily white is for an aggressive curve. It's one of the. It's not very likely to cause a chip. Okay, and some of the feel that I was feeling where there was that rough spot is pretty much gone now. So I'm going to go back to my Black Arc on the 25-foot wheel. You could kind of see how the heel is a little bit better. It's not totally fixed there, but it is a lot better than what it was where I did not have the contact that I wanted on the heel. Again, more of those circles and work that heel. Then blend it back in. See what the packing mat tells me. You can kind of see there on the edge. It kind of goes in easy, but across the whole width it doesn't. There's that half moon kind of stroke where, and when I do that, I do torque into that razor a little bit more than I really used to. I used to be afraid to do that, and I'm pretty sure that in my mind, I would have considered that over-pressuring at one point in time. There I'm getting the push cut pretty much across the blade, a little bit lacking on the heel, but I think that will come in on this step, which is, this is what I consider my finishing stone. This is the Suhiro 20K. This is shaped in the long dimension on the Jared plate. 20-foot, 5-foot wheel in the long dimension, 6-foot wheel on the cross crown. I don't know what that spot was in there, but I figured I'd clean that off. There's sometimes in the early steps on that, you'll see these kind of lines, almost tracers for stuff you need to take off. I'll be going back and forth on this stone for a little while. Using water diluted with a little bit of a Dawn dishwashing liquid as a lubricant. Again, there, I'm using the half moon type strokes to that seem to really be promising for me. I've heard many people say in honing, well, just use the weight of the razor. I never really could quite understand that because in my experience that I've done better, there's got to be some reasonable contact that you're making to hold that edge down onto the stone and to get an abrasive action on there. This is one of those things you get a feel for it. There I'm using that half moon kind of stroke and cantering the razor a little bit to blend the curvature in.
did feel that stone. Here I'm going to do some cleaning of the swarf off of that stone. That Barkeeper's Friend, I found that to be really the best way to clean this thing off. You just sprinkle a little bit on there. You take a paper towel. Well, it's a very mild metal polish used on fine stainless steel cookware. I do recommend that you, uh, since it is oxalic acid, which is an acid, I recommend keeping it away from your razors and make sure you rinse your stones pretty well from that. There I have the concave little trans arc that I made to help maintain the shape of my stones, or to kick up a slurry, or maintain, like I said, maintain shape. I have a bigger one now. That was the original one I did. Here I'm moving to, once I move to this final step on this stone with running water, that's where I'm looking to see, can I get to where I'm done with this stone and go to the strops. There I'm using that edge trailing stroke, trying to feel it, see if I can feel the flexing of the edge. I don't know if I feel it in that stroke. I do think if I am feeling that flexing and that pulling down of the bevel onto the stone, it would be in that half moon type of a stroke that I use. And again, that's somewhere where I'm using a bit more pressure than one would think. Here I'm using a significantly amount more of torque on there. I think I've determined that what I need to do is I need to get some more cutting away in the back bevel, for which the tool that's going to come out is my fave, the Washita Lily White. Some water running over to get that off of there, and then the typical lubricant, which is ballistol mixed with water. I think I've kind of settled in on about 25% ballistol to 75% water. And at this point, I'm not putting too much torque or too much pressure on there, enough to hold that down on there. When you canter the razor off of 90 degrees to the stroke direction, you're working from that curve. You're regardless of which way you're going, you're working more towards the center of the stone. Just bear in mind that on the more curvy stones, you're going from the back towards the front, and the less curvy stones like that one there, you are going from the front, from the apex towards the back. I'm wanting to see if I am feeling the removal of that little abrasive chunk in there, whatever that was. Going for the packing peanut test, and I think I've got the reasonable push cut that I wanted on that particular stone. Oh, no, I forgot about this. I did want to back bevel a little bit more, so I'm just going to do it by hand. Taking the lily white Washita and hand holding and just grinding away a little bit more back into the bevel. A little bit of blending with the next stroke. Trying to make sure I don't get any of that ballistol on that. So here at 20K, I'm not so sure how that solvent would treat with that. So here's probably the final move on the stone. There's that half moon type stroke. I'm putting a little bit of deliberate energy onto the heel there. I think it's good enough. It's not perfectly balanced, and these are the things where you learn to make the judgment call on what you think is good enough. Because sometimes in my stropping method, some of that has a way to the differences to balance themselves out. And there I am with the push cut that I'm looking for. Gotta watch some of this with how much energy you put in there. Final cleaning of the stone, a little more barkeeper's friend. The concave translucent arc to scrub that up, clean off the metal swarf, maybe put a very, very fine abrasion into that stone. Get it cleaned off. I'll finally get enough water washing on there so I don't have any residual of the abrasive powder or polish, I'll call it. And then I do just use the stone by itself to smooth it out a little bit. This is my standard finishing. Many of you watch my videos, you see me have gone through this. All these balsa strops are shaped in the long dimension on the Jared plate. It is a reasonably complex progression. Maybe it's overkill. I started off with that, and I'm going to call them Dovo. They may be made those abrasive pastes. I'm going to call them pastes because I think it's a wax carrier in there. They may have the Dovo name on them. They may come from Germany, the strop maker Harold. I find that at each step, from the chrome oxide off of the stone to the iron oxide using the packing peanut, you can get a feel for a linear progress that you're making, where you can kind of measure that you are getting some benefit. Those of you that are new to convex honing, if you have a Jared plate, I encourage you to at least try some sort of a piece of balsa wood, shape it in the long dimension on the Jared plate, and at least get those Dovo crayons. That one there is the red one. The other one is a little blue wrapper. It's the black. I think the particle size on that is a couple microns, and the black, the red might be 3, that might be 1.5. Those were what I used in the beginning. When I initially went to pastes, I actually went on balsa, and I had the balsa flat, and then once I took those 3 and shaped the balsa, there I'm displaying the rocking motion I get, where you're really contacting about a 1/2 inch, and as you move up and down the strop, you're doing the rolling or the rocking and moving that contact point. Once I did those 3 strops, it's the beauty of a balsa wood strop. If you want to change it, if you want to change the paste, you just resand it. Those particular things from Chef's Knives to Go, I like those. They have these individual bags. It's a softer balsa wood. Here's the final progression. I'll go through that in CBN. I like the CBN better. I haven't gone for the deeper CBN. You don't have to get the Chef's Knives to Go. You can go to Hobby Lobby or the hobby store, and you can get a 2x2 block. That was only 6 inches long, but you could get blocks like that and make strops of your own too. And I think the Dovo pastes are inexpensive enough for you to evaluate whether this is a method that is going to give you some level of improvement in your honing. For me, it had been the game changer. And as always, I can always check anywhere in there, and I can usually find a little less force needed to cut into that packing peanut. This is the first place anywhere in my process. I don't know what that spot or whatever on that is. That's a rue hide. I do like the rue that comes from Chef's Knives to Go. It has a solidly heavy draw, and I can feel a difference in that packing peanut test between the 10th micron CBN and that rue. And sometimes I'm thinking maybe what I'm doing with this stropping is more of a controlling the shape of the bevel and pulling the apex out a little bit. That's the final strop. It's not as expensive as rue. Chef's Not As To Go calls it sienna leather. That's slowing down, maybe getting some wear, but it was a pretty fast leather, and I liked how it did that. It almost seemed like it just gave that extra little polish. There, I'm not applying pressure. I'm just trying to do some shaking to see, is that going to drop in, or it pushed in easy enough. So happy 4th, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. This is Bill out.